This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Hey everyone, I'm your host Dani, and I'm the first-time reader going through this series chapter by chapter. As always, there's no spoilers past the chapter we're covering, and that means it's totally safe for first-time readers. I'm joined by my co-host Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's guiding me on this journey. We'd like to thank and acknowledge our executive producers, Brandy and Kirkwood, Sean McGuire, Yanis, LightBlindedFool, Green Man, Deyvis Ferreira, Margaret, Big C, Bennett Williamson, Dylan C, Hannah Green, Noralia, Jordan Gower, and Geof Searles. We also want to acknowledge a few patrons who renewed their annual pledge at patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. So thank you so much to Eva Thurman Coop, Alex L, and Ashley Varga. We really, really appreciate your continued support. So thank you so much. And before we get into things today, we just want to thank and welcome Stephen and Rebecca, Lemma Greg, and Missy Kittok to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. Thank you so much for your generosity and your support. We really, truly appreciate it. In this episode, we are talking about Chapter 20 of Knife of Dreams.
Yep, Chapter 20 is the Golden Crane.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you realize this, but this is one of the absolute biggest fan favorite chapters of the book.
I feel like I've heard it before.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Like, this is the one, and this very nearly got my favorite chapter of the book.
I'm actually surprised it's happening now.
I have literally been back and forth between. I chose not to. This is not my favorite chapter of the book.
It's not. Okay.
I did not select it. I went back and forth for roughly 4 years. Maybe give or take, once I figured out I was doing this, about whether or not I would choose this chapter, and I didn't. And I kind of regret it, but I can't go back right now.
Okay, well, to be fair, the actual chapter itself,
it doesn't matter.
It's like up and down.
All it needs is one scene, though.
And then the last perspective is like, ooh, that was cool.
That's the thing. All it needs is one scene to make it, like, the chapter. So
I guess so. I disagree with you, though.
Okay, that's
like,
fair.
I would be like, ooh, that's a cool scene,
hey.
But I'm not crediting an entire chapter for a one line, for a one thing that Nynaeve does.
Oh my goodness, but it's so cool. And I know that some people definitely have this as their favorite, and some people have it as their favorite for the entire series.
Yeah.
And I totally understand it. Because literally still reading it, like, even when I was doing notes.
I've definitely heard...
I get chills
like,
still.
Maybe not puns or like references kind of like this, like what Nynaeve says.
Okay, yeah,
You know, I've like sort of heard of it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I ride alone.
Yeah.
Don't let Dani and Brett ride alone. You know,
yeah.
I've kind of heard like offhanded things like that, but I didn't know what that was referring to.
Zero context.
And so now I do, yeah.
Okay, so why don't I jump into the fun fact, because I figured today was the best day. Oh, before I actually do the fun fact.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, I just have to say, we recorded yesterday.
Yeah.
And we were really hoping that drinking a bunch of whiskey would help make us sound better.
Yeah.
And clearly it worked, because today...
It sounds so great.
So much better.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know, I feel like I sound maybe a little better.
A little bit, like a notch. It did a little. So if we do that again, maybe tomorrow, we'll be even better.
Even better. Yeah. Well, yeah. And we don't record again till...
Thursday. 2 days from now. Anyways, okay, so for the Golden Crane chapter, I have to do something on the Golden Crane.
Okay, sure.
All right, so there is some speculation about the origin of the Golden Crane as a symbol for McGuire, and I pulled a little bit of information from WattWiki as a reference in its making. So the Golden Crane might be a reference to Yellow Crane Tower, which is one of the 4 great towers of China, so like 4 historically renowned towers, and it's located in Wuhan, China. So the tower itself has actually existed in some form or another since around 223 CE. So like a long time. And it's been rebuilt about 12 times because it keeps getting destroyed from what I could find. And the most recent structure was built from 1981 to 1985, which was right around when RJ was actually starting to create the Wheel of Time series.
Okay.
Now, it's currently situated on Snake Hill, and there's a couple popular legends surrounding the tower, but there's also a poem that was written, also called Yellow Crane Tower, by an 8th century Chinese poet Su Hao, and it's a poem that seems to reference the fall of something of great importance that's since been reclaimed by nature and time, and the narrator of the poem mourns its loss, which is very similar in theme to the nation of McGuire. So you can actually read it on Wikipedia when you search Yellow Crane Tower.
Okay.
So here we go.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Okay.
And now it's funny because, chapter 20 is called The Golden Crane. And I went almost the entire chapter thinking, I wonder when they're going to get to the Golden Crane.
Yeah. Well, because you knew that was land, right? Like,
I mean, I know sort of that it's that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't be news to us.
Like, land is the Golden Crane?
Well, I mean, if you want to be technical...
the Golden Crane is the symbol of McGuire.
The Golden Crane is like the flag of McGuire, but also Lan is the man who stands alone and the man who is one nation.
Yes.
Like, he's Analine, the
uncrowned king.
He's the uncrowned king of McGuire, and he's like the one man that is an entire nation.
Right.
According to the Aiel, right?
Yeah.
So, like, he is McGuire. He's the Golden Crane.
Which is interesting because other Malkieri people do exist.
They do, and he's the guy who needs to lead them.
Clearly.
Oh my goodness, I love this chapter so much.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get through the other stuff first, and then let's
get the chapter symbol is 2 ravens.
Yeah.
And now maybe because a bunch of ravens and crows are eating a bunch of Trolloc bodies.
Well, we do have a lot of stuff about the ravens, and we also have like a pretty prominent dark friend in our midst here too. So.
Oh, Elsa?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
And Rand has some thoughts about her, so like there's some reasons why we could talk about that.
And they're funny thoughts.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty good.
All right, so let's get started then. We're going to enter into Rand's perspective, and it's the aftermath of the giant battle that took place last night, right?
Yeah, and last night for us too.
Oh, and last night for us too.
Yeah,
that's funny. I know. So Rand and his entourage are going out into the field to inspect all the bodies and to see everything. Plus, it's raining, and Logain is channeling his umbrella.
Right.
And Rand is not, because he does not want to risk Luce Theron grabbing hold of Sidene again.
And this time you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
And I think it's kind of funny because literally yesterday, Rand is holding so much Sidene, and Logain is like, are you showing off or something? And then today he's doing the opposite of showing off.
Now I don't need to channel at all.
Yeah, it's probably so confusing. Logain is probably like, what is wrong with this guy?
Well, also not though, because everyone knows that Rand is going crazy, because Rand to himself seems to be holding on pretty well, but to the outside world, no.
And it makes me wonder too, Logain doesn't really seem to be going that crazy.
Well, I mean, or he can keep it under wraps a little bit better than Rand can sometimes.
Maybe.
He's got less stress and pressure of trying to unite the world behind him.
Yeah.
So there's a lot less environmental
he did
stuff.
go a little crazy when he was traveling with Lyanna and Swan and Min.
Sure.
He kind of went introverted
that's
for a while.
Depression.
Right.
That was he wanted to die. So that's, I mean, it's a little different.
I wonder if being gentled affected his sane levels.
Which is a good thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He got a little bit of a reprieve from the taint for a while.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He had maybe, I don't know, a year-ish off.
I know, but remember when I first was like, Mazrim Taim is for sure a dark friend or Dreadlord.
Yeah.
Because he's super old and he's clearly not crazy.
Yeah, I don't know why you keep calling him super old too.
He's 35. Yeah.
And you know what? Actually,
Rand,
I get it.
That's old for a dude channeling.
For sure.
So maybe same for Logain.
Okay, yeah. Wait, what? That he's evil?
Yeah. I'm so suspicious of everybody.
All right. And
him
Logain
and
Loyal's mom. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, both of them.
I got it. I got it.
Okay, so Rand is even thinking, oh, I know Luce Theron said he'll wait till the last battle to die, but I don't know how far I can trust a madman. And then Luce Theron in his head is, haha, you're any less crazy than me. And he's like, I'm talking to a voice in my head.
Yeah.
And we're like, Luce Theron, you are the voice in the head.
Why not to Luce Theron? Rand's the voice in his head.
Oh, it's just so
funny. It's like a who's on first situation.
Oh my
it's
gosh, it's nuts. Okay, so now we learn in this chapter that there were about 100,000 Trollocs in this attack, and now that they're all dead, there's all these vultures and crows and ravens all swooping down, and it's so gross.
Yeah, this is part of the Raven situation, because the Saldaeans are trying to shoot them all down, because in the Borderlands you don't let any of those live immediately,
they're
because
all
they're
dark ones eyes,
but
right?
now we've got so many, and even the Aes Sedai and the Ashaman stopped trying to
get rid of them because you can't.
You can, and the Saldaeans are going a little bit longer. They're clubbing them when they're on the ground and stuff too. It's pretty messy here.
That's true. But then Rand says he doesn't think that there's going to be a follow-up attack because this looks like it was the attack.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a conversation of were they holding troops in reserve, but probably not, because why would they piecemeal off their forces to attack in waves? It's just like they tried to do a surprise attack.
Yes.
But that was clearly the thing.
Yeah.
And it almost worked.
Yeah. And we get a little bit of information about where Rand thinks that the Trollocs came from.
Yeah, and last night you were like,
yeah.
well, you were going on a bit of a rant. You're like, we're never going to figure out where they came from. And technically we don't.
Yeah.
But we do have a theory that they came from the Waygate near Steading Shanghai.
Right.
So it's important to close off the Waygates, which is also a conversation we talked about.
We're going to talk about that later too, because we're gonna weave our pattern around where we want it to go.
We're gonna send Loyal on Waygate closing too.
Not Loyal.
Well, initially it was supposed to be, but
it's supposed to be now. But
okay.
He's got a job. He's
Again,
married.
We're jumping ahead here.
I know.
So there's a couple of behind-the-scenes things happening too here. We've got the Ashaman and Aes Sedai burning off the Trolloc bodies, which is why Logain doesn't want them to expend all their resources and their energy just in case there is a follow-up attack. But then also Rand thinks about wanting someone like the Aes Sedai to actually train Olivia properly.
Yeah.
But none of them will. And even Cadsuan's like, oh, my business isn't training Wilders. So he wants her to get better because she's pretty diehard on protecting him.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Now, at this point, Rand is going to look around at how close this attack actually got to breaking through their lines, and he wonders about how they found him and that maybe the blue-eyed man can actually locate him. And I was like, oh, hey.
Right.
Probably.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily know that that's a back and forth thing because Rand doesn't necessarily seem to know where that other guy is, like Moradin is.
No, but this is clearly Moradin directed, I don't think it's like, oh no, accidentally we can sort of see each other's faces sometimes and no one knows why. I think that this is like Moradin or / Ishmael, whatever, is figuring this out and directing the whole thing.
Well, and I mean, plus he's nameless and he was saying, hey, it's go time, like the last battle is happening here, so.
Yeah. But Rand does think about how he should have a few more Ashermen close by.
Right. Which, again, probably a good idea.
Yeah. Now, Luce Theron in the background is going to start crying and weeping about how they should have killed all the Ashermen before, and now it's too late. And then Rand is like, the source is clean now.
Yeah.
Relax. It's
LTT
fine.
brings up a good question here.
Yeah. But then he says, but are they? Am I?
Yeah, so, the source is clean for future men, but right now, it doesn't necessarily seem like anybody's less crazy.
No one's getting less crazy. Definitely nobody is immediately not crazy.
Yeah.
But maybe the more we channel clean sighting, that whole, theory I had.
Yeah.
Where we get less crazy, or we just, stay the same amount of crazy.
Right. Or it's, literally
crazier.
Taking time to recover from your wounds a little bit.
Yeah.
Like smoking, right? So same idea.
That's what I was talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we get a little bit of a recap about the side wounds.
Right.
Where we got them and how they hurt.
Yeah, Shamael and then Pat and Fane.
Right. Now, we are going to get interrupted by some servant, a really, really old guy, coming out with a message for Rand from Varen.
Yeah.
Okay, Varen.
He's got to do it right away.
Yeah. Very important. Now, Rand continues his trek through the field and makes it to a barn that the Trollocs got into, and right now it's being used to keep the bodies of the 19 Saldean soldiers who died in the attack.
Yes, because as a Saldean, apparently one of the traditions is you don't bury people in the rain.
Right.
They don't know why. You just don't do it.
Don't do it.
That's okay. That's good advice. I like it.
I don't know if it's good advice. I guess it's superstition, maybe, or something.
Well, it's at least a little stition.
Easier
I don't know
to
if it's super.
dig in the ground when it's wet.
Well, maybe.
I don't know.
But then your hole keeps filling up with water as you're digging it.
Oh my gosh, maybe that's why.
Right, and then it's muddy, and then it's hard. It's not.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, now we get a description of the barn that is just overwhelmingly swarmed with flies.
Yeah, spooky flies though.
Bad.
Yeah.
And then even the guy here is like, maybe they're dead flies. Maybe the flies dead are coming back.
Who knows?
What?
I don't know.
That's the dumbest thing anyone ever said, farm guy. What? No.
Yeah, it's like the side plot that leads into the thing with Olivia, which leads into the thing about Rand wanting someone to train Olivia properly. So
Yes.
it all ties
It all ties together.
Yeah,
Okay.
it connects.
So Rand has another argument with Lews Therin about the reason that he wants to see the dead Saldeans is because he wants the reminder that even complete victories like today still cost lives.
Yeah.
And Lews Therin is like, I don't need any reminders. Like, I always think about everybody I always killed.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty, like, I really do like this inner dialogue between Rand and LTT because there's, like, important conversations that are happening. So, Rand and his guys just wiped out 100,000 plus Trollocs, Fades, all that. Like, that's a crazy victory for the good guys. And they only lost 19 soldiers.
Yeah.
Like, that is unheard of. That's crazy.
Right. And then, so Lews Therin and Rand are going to have this back and forth about who's more hard, who's less soft.
Less emotional.
Yeah.
It's like LTT is like, well, you're way harder, way crazier, less emotional than I ever was.
Yeah.
So.
And then he's like, wait a minute. If you're not me, then who are you?
Ah.
And it's like he keeps on. That's probably my favorite thing. I love how periodically we just get Lews Therin all of a sudden realizing that Rand's here too.
Well, it's
and
kind
it like keeps happening. It's like, well, it'll happen. I'll be like, see, Lews Therin does recognize Rand is here, but then in the next moment he like absolutely does not. And so that's the best.
It's like, will it get worse because now LTT got a hold of the power a little bit? He's gonna start coming out of his shell a little bit. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, now a weird thing happens where Rand is like, hey, Logain, disperse these flies. And Logain's like, no. I don't take orders from you. Like, you're too good to do it, or what?
Well, first he had to put out the barn fire. Mm-hmm. Now he's got to, like, shoo the flies away?
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
And then Olivia steps up and does it.
Yeah, but
she's like, can I try?
It's super effective, but also everybody gets, like, a face full of flies.
Oh, disgusting.
Because she makes them all leave the barn.
Very fast.
Instead of, like, I don't know, mosquito zapping them, you know?
Yeah.
Like one of those fly zappers.
What's she supposed to do? Kill all of them?
I don't know. I don't know
what she did to make them all leave.
She made them all fly into everybody's faces as they were exiting the barn quickly. Farmer swallows a bunch or whatever.
I know. Okay. But it's interesting because immediately Cadsuane is like, so you are watching and picking up on weaves. And it's like, yes, she wants to learn.
Yeah. Well, and she says that. She's like, yes, I remember too, because I got to learn somehow, because nobody's teaching me. And that's a little bit about Rand wanting someone to teach Olivia. It's like, she's super crazy powerful, guys. Use her.
Yeah.
Use her as a weapon.
They are comfortable with it. And it's interesting, too, because we get the tidbit that she's at least 100 years older than any Aes Sedai living.
Yeah.
And she's, like, crazy powerful, so...
Yeah, because she was, 400, and she's, like...
Yeah, so that would make her, if they start training her, that would make her, the top of the hierarchy.
Oh, well, and if she becomes Aes Sedai.
Yeah, and they would hate that.
Well, that's fair, too, but...
Yeah, so they're like, no.
Not gonna do it.
Cadsuane right now is, the top of the pyramid, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's basically gonna die soon, right? She's pretty old,
Maybe.
Yeah.
What if she ends up doing the thing that Egwene wants? What if she
goes
into retirement to live longer?
Yeah, you think Cadsuane's gonna do that?
Maybe.
Okay.
If
it makes you live longer. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like she would ever actually stop.
Yeah.
You know? She'd be like, oh, this makes you live long? Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. She doesn't really play by any rules, so I could see her maybe doing it.
No, she plays by her... No, she doesn't even play by her own rules.
No.
That's how cool she is.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
At the same time, no Aes Sedai is ever like, I'm going to give up the one thing that truly makes me Aes Sedai.
Well, if that is the thing that you think makes Aes Sedai... Well,
that's what they all think. They for sure
that's
all think
what some of them
No,
think.
they all think that.
Yeah,
that is ingrained in them.
Yeah, well,
sure.
That's your opinion.
Well, no, it's all of their opinions.
Yeah, it's terrible opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, anyways, back to it.
Okay, so Min gets angry at Olivia, and I don't quite understand what the whole animosity is about.
Okay, so... Min's viewing was that Olivia is going to help Rand die.
Oh, okay.
And that's the phrasing. So it's super weird phrasing. She's going to help him die.
Yeah.
Whatever that's supposed to mean.
Right.
So everybody's all pissy because oh, I don't want Rand to die because I love him and stuff. And it's well, Rand says, your viewings never don't come true. So why are we trying to fight this one? Let's just go with it because your viewings are always true. And then Min says, well, not all of them because I saw a whole bunch of stuff about Moraine.
Plus Moraine.
But she's gone now.
Yeah, no, she's not.
No, you never know.
See, I told you, Min's viewings always come right.
Right.
They always come true.
Well, so that means that Olivia's going to help Rand die.
Yes, I know that.
Min doesn't like that.
I know.
Well, that's why she's angry.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I get it now.
Now you get it.
Yeah.
Now you get it.
Okay, but Lucerne is just annoyed. He's like, hey, you
Hey.
promised me we could die at the last battle.
Yeah, we're supposed to die. Come on, you promised already.
Right.
So now LTT's a little bit pissy with Rand, so...
Okay, so Rand doesn't want to be part of this conversation anymore.
No.
So he just opens up Baron's letter, and it basically is like, I'm leaving.
It's really not a lot.
And
like,
don't trust anybody.
except for Catswain.
Except for Catswain.
Like, trust her, she's cool.
Heed her advice.
I vetted her, she's good. I was gonna kill her, but then I didn't.
She's fine. But remember, Black Aja and also
Everyone
all
else.
of the ones who swore to you, take that with a grain of salt, because who knows how long my garbage compulsion is going to last.
Well, and also, like, loopholes and oaths that they swear and stuff like that. So, yeah, just be careful. So, it's not really any new information.
No, and
except...
he even gives it to Catswain to read.
Yeah.
And she's like, yes, this is great advice.
Great advice. And it's like, I would if the letter said Brett is amazing and always listen to him, I'd be like,
yes,
amazing advice.
Excellent
Should listen.
Letter. Yes.
Well written. Good formatting. Yeah.
Okay, now here we're going to get interrupted again because Loyal and Elder Hammond are going to come into the barn. Are we still in the barn with the dead people?
Yeah.
Is that where we are here?
Oh, yeah,
still?
we're here
That's
the entire time.
Still?
It
Okay.
never changes.
Oh, right, because when Bashir's here, he like recognizes a dude.
Well, because it's his soldiers.
Yes, we're just standing here.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So Loyal and Elder Hammond are here, and then Rand is like, oh, Loyal, I wish I could go to your wedding. And he's like, it already happened.
Yeah. Well, now it seems like there's going to be a thing.
A feast.
Like, yeah, but no, but there's not going to be a feast. But there might be, like, more ceremonial stuff.
Right.
We'll see.
Okay.
The raising of the chairs.
Yeah.
The stepping on the glasses.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know.
Okay. So Loyal tells him whatever happens, he's for sure going to be beside Rand at Tarmangaiden. And then Elder Hammond goes, oh, well, I don't think you should be making promises like that.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah. And then he cuts himself off. It's like, oh, can't talk too much about this stuff.
Well, and also, like, maybe he should just stay out of it. Like, does he really want to get involved? I don't know.
Yeah, and he's like, thanks, Loyal. I appreciate it.
Elder Hammond seems to have, like, relaxed a lot since the first time we met him. He's been across the world a bunch, and he seems like he was a little bit more uptight before, and now he's more, like, cool guy Elder Hammond.
Yeah.
Who's like, I've actually got a taste for staying outside, and...
It's fine.
It's fine. It's actually not that bad.
He's finally away from Loyal's mom.
Yeah.
Right? So he can, like, speak a little more candidly with Loyal.
Like, how can I be away from her longer?
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, but Rand is going to be like, hey, Loyal, you know how I sent you on that super long mission to close all the way gates and you did an all right job of it?
Yeah, you got like half of them.
Right? Well, good news. I need you to go do it more.
Yeah, so it's
the rest of them.
Waygate closing 2, the Black Wind Boogaloo. There you go.
Okay, and Loyal does not want to do that again, and they have a bit of a back and forth, and then Elder Hammond's like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
It's cool.
And then Catswain's like, oh man, you even like affect Ogier
you
with
make
your,
Ogier do stuff.
With your Taviran-ness.
Yeah. And maybe it's just like it worked out.
Yeah.
But also, that's the importance. I know you didn't really care about the mission beforehand, but I'm just saying, Loyal didn't have enough influence to be able to get all the Groves, like the Steadings, to agree to do it. Now Elder Hammond has to go do cleanup crew here.
Well, yeah, and I feel like actually witnessing this horde of Trollocs that probably was moved through the ways,
For
it's
sure.
like, oh shit, this is actually a problem.
It's like, oh, actually, they're going to pour out. But that's really, if we look at the actual danger of all this, is that Trollocs can pour out of the Blight into the entire world if you don't shut the way gates. So you got to shut the way gates.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the thing.
Yep, that's it. Okay.
Oh, and then we also get a timestamp here.
Oh, yeah?
For the book series, yeah, because Loyal has been out of the steading for about 5 years now. A little bit more than 5 years. And he's going to need like months to recover probably. But at the start of the series, when we first met him in Camelin, he'd been out for just more than 3 years.
Okay, so it's been 2 years.
About 2 years since the books series like started.
Okay.
Official timestamp.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So now it's official. Elder Hammond is going to be taking over the job.
Yep.
And then we get interrupted again because Bashir has returned from his meeting with the Shanchen.
Yeah.
And he's going to come up.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, now this is the really funny part where Elsa is escorting Bashir into the barn, and Rand has all these really funny thoughts about Elsa.
Her fanatical devotion.
Yeah, well, he's like, oh, I don't have to worry about Elsa because she's a fanatic about me.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude.
Which is true.
I mean, yeah, but again, so she's the dark friend.
She's rationalized
the
whole I'm going to swear to Rand to get him to the last battle.
Yeah.
So that the Dark One can beat him there.
At the last battle, where he's destined to. So she's the one who nuked Osengar / Deshiva / Agenor during the cleansing.
Okay.
Yeah. Because she was like, oh, can I lead the circle, please, pretty please? Because she wanted to defend Rand.
Right. And she's like, oh, the Dark One will forgive me for offing a Forsaken.
Yeah, it's like, oh, whatever.
To get Rand to the Dark One.
Yeah, but she didn't know Deshiva was a Forsaken though at the time. So, but it's really funny. But now we gotta talk here because Bashir's back from his meeting with the Shanshin.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He's got news. We got to talk about this here.
Yeah, confusing news.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to need help with this one.
Sure. So let's break it down.
Okay, so Rand is supposed to meet the daughter of the Nine Moons in 3 days at a manor house in northern Altara near the border of Andor.
Yeah.
And she's already near there somewhere, but they say it isn't in lands that they control.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, no one knows where Tuon actually is, right?
Well, last time we left them, like Matt and Tuon.
Yeah.
No, they were like riding off, and we've seen like a flash in Rand's brain, I think, of them like riding off somewhere. And timestamp wise, we don't really know, but from what we know, she's not back with the Shanshin.
No.
And nowhere close to it because now we know there's like an assassination plot against Tuon.
Yes.
So she's like definitely not just getting handed over to Shanshin soldiers.
No. And Logain is like, this sounds like a trap. And Bashir's like, yeah, I always expect a trap.
Yeah.
But the other part is that High Lady Suroth didn't want Bashir to talk to anyone but her.
Yeah.
Even the servants all around, weren't talking.
They're all mute. They all have their tongues cut out. Because the
Oh.
Shanshin will do that to the extent of their servants if they don't want news spread.
Right, gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not nice, but the Shanshin aren't nice people.
Right,
so.
okay. So, and also Suroth the Dark Friend. Like, that's also a thing.
That's a thing, yeah.
But I'm just trying to figure out, like, what's happening.
Yeah. Well, we've got Semirog, who is like, hey, Suroth, do you want to be in power?
Oh, yeah.
All you got to do is assassinate Tuon.
Uh-huh.
And now we know that there's an assassination plot against Tuon.
Yeah, but then why would Suroth promise Rand that he would meet Tuon?
Yeah.
Or, no, I guess. Well, okay.
Well, the daughter of the Nine Moons.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like she can't not lie. Like,
no,
she's
she for sure can lie. I'm just trying to figure out what this plot is, you know?
Yeah.
Like what Suroth's plan is.
Sure.
Here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially considering, because there's one thought like, oh, is Suroth just going to pretend to be the daughter of the Nine Moons?
Right.
And be like,
but
that's
no,
me.
Because Bashir
already
knows
her.
Suroth is.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not that.
Unless Suroth hopes that Tuon is like dead by that time.
Or they have her.
Or they have her somehow.
Which again doesn't make a lot of sense.
No,
because
it doesn't.
Suroth is, well, last time we saw her, she was pretty dead set on killing her.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's confusing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, anyway, so everyone's walking on eggshells in
Okay,
Altara.
I guess we'll just find out about this one.
Yeah, there's a new crown king in Altara. We know that. It's Beslan.
Oh, yes, that's
yeah,
true.
That's King Beslan now. But everybody, including Suroth, is like walking on eggshells. Everybody looks like, oh, the axe is hovering above their necks. So it's tense, and it's a little bit weird.
Okay, so there are some conditions of this weird meeting that the Shanshin will be bringing 6 Suldam and Damani and no one else.
Yep.
And Rand is allowed to bring 5 people who can channel and 1 woman who can't channel.
Yeah, so the numbers are, because Shanshin are all about like even numbers.
Yeah.
So Rand's a channeler, so him plus 5 channelers is 6 channelers, just like the 6 Damani.
Yeah.
And then the 1 extra woman would bring the numbers at the meeting up to equal, because Shanshin also consider Damani and Suldam one person.
Yes, that's true. Okay.
So.
And now Min kind of steps up like she wants to go, and Rand is immediately no.
Well, yeah, she'd be like the
Min
one.
is like, we'll talk about it.
The one non-channeler.
Yeah, and
woman.
I was like, yeah, let's bring Min. She can see a lot of important things.
Oh, you want Min to go?
Of course.
Well, because it's like Rand wants to protect Min, and
I could give a shit what Rand wants.
keep her out of danger. You don't want to protect Min at all?
No.
You're cool with her being in danger?
Min can protect her damn self.
Can she, though?
She'll be with 6 other channelers.
She can't even channel herself, though.
Exactly, so they don't want her.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless they find out about her power. But they're not
Ooh,
going to. Yeah.
Okay.
I bet they'd be interested in that.
Well, because like the superstitions.
Oh, yes.
Like the viewings and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But this ant didn't walk in the proper line around.
Yes. No,
it took
they
him
probably
7
wouldn't want to
seconds.
know. They'd probably just want her like dead or something. Because they're like, it's bad luck to know the future.
Unless you know our
except
symbolism.
that I thought all the demoni could read futures or something.
Well, okay, that's the thing. It's like, I think they say they all can, but it's like probably only some can because they're channelers, right? Some have talents and probably have like dreaming or foretell, like stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe a little bit more prominent or more recognized.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
But
all right. Well, anyways, yeah, of course Min should go.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So here's the thing. In 3 days, ran things like, because that's when the meeting is.
Yeah.
In 3 days, the Shanshan issue will be resolved one way or another. Because his whole thing was, I'm either going to make some sort of truce with them, or I'm going to wipe them off the map.
Uh-huh.
Like, we're gone. We're done.
Well, I'm like, good luck doing that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you could blossom into oblivion. Rand is way more powerful than any demoni. Like, if it came down to it, like no chance.
I don't know. I guess just have to see.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see.
We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, because I'm just confused by all of it. So it's just sort of like those, okay, I don't want to think about it. When it happens, I'll read about it.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
That's how I feel about this situation.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay, so why don't we take a quick break? And then we'll come back for the perspective change.
Yeah, the best perspective. Second best perspective in the book.
Yes.
Maybe third. No, so I'm going to go second.
Okay.
Yep.
But it's not this perspective. That's the good one.
The Nynaeve one is the best. Yeah.
The Nynaeve one is the best?
Is the second best.
But it's from the last part is from the different perspective.
Now you're overthinking it. This is not my favorite chapter of the book.
I know.
This is the second best chapter in the book.
I know.
Because of this perspective.
We have Nynaeve's perspective, and then we have another perspective at the end. And I think that that's the important part.
Yeah, okay. I understand that. It's, yeah.
The jewelry merchant.
No, I know that.
Guy.
I know that, but yeah.
Okay, whatever. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
That's fine.
Okay, so here we are. We're back with our perspective change to Nynaeve's perspective.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, so Nynaeve is currently all decked out in her jewelry triangle, like she is all the time.
You gotta be ready for attacks at any point now. Yeah.
She's taken some herbs to make her headache go away.
Yep.
Because she's been doing lots of channeling, lots of healing.
Yeah, I do appreciate the fact that she's still using herbs sometimes. Like, we should be a little bit concerned based on what Lan says in a second here.
Yeah.
But also I like that she sticks with her roots a little bit.
Well, and she sort of was like, oh, there are so many people who are hurt worse than me, and I don't want to ask for healing just for a headache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of get that too.
Even though Moraine used to say that a headache was a sign that she'd been channeling too much.
Right. So she's probably channeling too much.
And then Nynaeve is like annoyed, like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah. That's in a second, but
yeah, and then we find out more about those wedding vows.
Right. This is pretty solid.
Yeah, because it's based on the Sea Folk.
Yeah. Well, so they got
wedding
married.
Vows.
Yeah, they got married on a Sea Folk ship. So since you got married by the Sea Folk, you gotta adhere to Sea Folk wedding customs,
which is like
for the rest of your life.
Neither of them are Sea Folk.
It's like why is that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like for the rest of your lives now you're gonna operate
your own culture's customs.
Yeah, not just who married you.
Yeah,
it's
it feels
crazy.
Weird, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's super weird.
Except I think that whatever this agreement is works.
It works for them.
For Nynaeve and Lan.
But also because, like, I understand it, that it probably works for them, not just because it's, like, they are who they are, but they have this really crazy dynamic where Nynaeve is Aes Sedai, and she will step more into that role in the future, and Lan, who is supposed to be her warder at some point, is going to have to take the role in public of obeying her every command.
Right.
So it just, like, balances the power, where in private, he gets say over things like, hey, I want to watch this movie, and he can be like, no, we're watching this one.
Yeah, or she's like,
yeah.
clean your boots, and he's like, no.
No, you clean them.
Right, yeah.
But then in public, he has to do whatever she says all the time, so, like, it's super weird, it's kind of confusing.
Okay.
But they're cool with it, so,
okay.
like, it's their relationship.
Right. Now, she spends a moment here with Lan looking out the window, and then we get a bunch of names of, like, Asha'man and Aes Sedai that are here, and then Nynaeve suspects that some of the Aes Sedai might even be sharing a bed with the Asha'man out of wedlock.
Yeah, even that.
Can you believe it?
Right? Even with Logain? Oh my goodness.
I can't believe it. So now the Asha'man Aes Sedai that are linked here are doing the burning of shadow spawn bodies.
Yeah, that's like what she's probably been doing too, and she's gonna go help again, but yeah, it's just a lot of, like, they get a last little moment here because at the end of this chapter we see the separation of them, but they get to spend like a last little while holding each other in their arms, looking out a window for a time.
Right. At
It's
a
very
bunch
sweet.
of dead Trollocs.
Yeah, you know.
So romantic. The best scene.
You know, for an Aes Sedai and a warder.
No, it's bad.
It's nothing sweeter.
No, it's terrible. So Lan is like, these Murdral and Trollocs make me think of Tarmangaiden.
Yes.
And then Lan goes into a monologue saying it's coming really soon, but Rand thinks he has all this time in the world to deal with the Seanchan, but Shadowspawn could be moving down through the Blight right now, and they could strike the whole of the Borderlands tomorrow.
Yeah.
And where's the King of Shinar?
Well, he's like, hey, Rand should totally send someone to go and tell the Borderlanders to get their butts back to the Blight, because we gotta be marshaling troops, we gotta be recruiting, we gotta be, like, manning the Blight. Like, what are we doing here? Why is there 200,000 of the Borderlanders looking for Rand? They're hanging out in Andor. Like, what the hell is happening here?
They're just sitting there.
And I agree. Like, Rand should send a delegate or go himself and be like, what's up?
For him.
Yeah.
He should probably figure that out.
And, like, you know that. They know that. Like, what
Apparently
are
Rand
we doing?
even knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, don't want to talk to them. No thanks.
Not right now. So much to do, Brett.
Rand isn't here right now. Leave a message after the beep.
Well, okay. Is Rand not messing with anything that's happening in Andor out of respect for, like, Elaine and that whole thing? Is that possible?
It's very possible, but it's also like Rand is kind of sitting on his hands right now. He's hanging out here. He is, but like if we're gonna be honest about what Rand's doing, he cleansed the source. He's waiting. He's been waiting here for a while now. He's gonna wait longer to deal with the Seanchan, and he's not really doing much in between.
Yeah. Okay.
Considering he's a guy who can travel anywhere in the world at any time for any amount of time and then leave.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything.
Yeah, not much. I mean, he's thinking.
He's doing a lot of things, and you got to plan. Like you got to plan.
Thinking. Yep.
That's. But sometimes there's no time to think. You just got to act. Just got to do stuff.
Okay. Well, I think that Nynaeve is like taking this all in, and she says, "You have to go back, like, don't you?"
Yeah, she realizes like Lan's entire mission here.
Mm-hmm. And then she tells Lan that her duty is still here to make sure Rand is safe, but she can take him to the Borderlands.
Let's be really careful about what Nynaeve actually says.
Yeah.
So she recognizes that. So Lan's the dude who's always been like, hey, my mission is to die.
Die in the
Blight.
I was going to say Bly in the Dite.
Bly in the Dite.
By himself.
By myself, and then boom, mission complete. I don't know, like, terrible game plan, man, but that's Lan.
Yep.
And it always has been, and it always will be.
Yep.
So Nynaeve recognizes this, and she's really tricky with her wordplay.
Yeah.
Because she says, hey,
I'll take
you to the Borderlands. No, she doesn't say, she says, I'll take you to the Borderlands. You said you want to go to Shinar, right? You mentioned Shinar?
Yeah. Okay.
So she's not lying, because she's trying really hard not to lie, because Egwene was like, yo,
you gotta pretend like
you're Aes Sedai.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Lan bites on it super hard, and he's like, yeah, Shinar's the best place. Right.
Because of the Trolloc Wars and Tarwin's Gap and all of that. So
yeah, and Tarwin's Gap we know from book 1.
That's right, we do know that.
Exactly.
Now, Lan starts to pack his saddlebags because, he's going to go now, and Nynaeve hurries to change and get some maps, and they
so here's
get
the
the
thing
horses,
too.
and then they're all ready to go.
Here's the thing. So Nynaeve sneaks out while Lan is packing. She gets ready quick and then goes off to find maps because she has to figure out where to go in Saldea. She has to figure out like where she has to go and then towns along the way that she's going to have to visit because she's pulling a quick one like on land right now.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because I was wondering how she even knew about all these people.
It's the maps.
But the people. How did she know about the people?
She jumps into a town. She's like, yo, I'm Aes Sedai. Tell me who is the best connection with all the pigeons. Let's go.
Okay. Well, no, I don't think that it's just that.
No, it's the pigeons and then it's the Malchieri
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part matters.
It's both.
So she's just hopping around. Okay, we'll get to it.
Let's get to it.
She's going to hop around and just ask a bunch of questions?
Hit as many towns as you can.
Okay. Well, before we get there, though, we got to get the horses ready, and then Nynaeve makes Lan take some oath.
Yeah. Okay, so this, again, is a really big, important part of the plan. So she says, I want an oath from you. You got to promise because I mean it. And he's like, okay, what's the oath? And she says, I want you to ride to Fal Moran before you enter the Blight. And if anyone wants to ride with you, you're going to let them. So he says, well, okay, I've gone to the Blight with people before, but I don't like to lead them into the blight.
No, not that he doesn't like it. He's always refused to lead men into the blight.
He doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So Nynaeve says, well, you've done it before. You've let people come with you. So you're going to swear an oath that you'll let people who want to ride with you, you'll let them ride again.
Yeah.
Your oath on it, or I'm not going to let you go. I'm going to make you ride to Shinar yourself.
Not
gatewaying you there. You got to take the long way. So Lan says, how far south in Shinar are you going to take me? And she doesn't answer because she can't lie.
Yep.
And then he's like, fine, here's the oath. I'll ride through Fal Moran before I enter the blight. So that's going to be important for the next scene.
Okay.
So then they have a public smooch session.
Yep.
Because Nynaeve's like, okay, I'm not going to have time to kiss him after I make the gateways.
Okay.
So they kiss now while they're still here in the middle of nowhere in the southern Tirish area.
Yeah, okay.
So then.
And then, Lan also is like, maybe we could have one last night together before you come back here. And Nynaeve is like, no.
Yeah, no last night together.
She wants to, but she's like,
that'd be nice, no time.
Yeah.
So then, what Nynaeve does, she weaves a gateway, and they go through, and when Lan gets through the gateway, she goes through too, and she drops the gateway, and then weaves another one immediately. But then Lan, looks around, and he's like, whoa, where are we? Because he can see a cliff, and there's just ocean as far as the eye can see.
Okay.
So what she has done, what Nynaeve's done, is she's dropped them at World's End in Saldea. So on the map, northern continent, the furthest west you can go to the ocean is called World's End.
Okay.
So she dropped Lan off as far west, as far away literally from Tarwin's Gap as she possibly could.
While still being in
the Borderlands and not lying.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, yo, you better remember your oath because I sure will.
Yeah.
And then she leaves. She gallops to the gateway and she's gone.
Okay.
So now Lan is as far west in the Borderlands as humanly possible.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
And he has to ride. He promised to ride through Fal Moran in Shinar.
He was dropped off as far away as possible while still being in Shinar.
He's not even close to Shinar.
So far
he is as far away as possible. So now Lan literally has to go all the way across every major Borderland route and city to get to Shinar, to Fal Moran, and then to Tarwin's Gap.
Okay, and then this is where we're about to learn that Nynaeve is literally zip-zapping all the way through.
She's going to pop into every single town she can hit. She's going to send out messenger pigeons to every single person she can find and say, will my husband ride alone?
Right.
No, we fucking won't.
No, okay.
Let's do it. Okay.
We got to get there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to perspective change to some dude. And now, let me tell you.
Waylon.
This was so confusing.
Okay.
I did not know what was going on.
The first 4 pages of it don't matter.
I was like,
it's
oh
backstory
my God,
on Waylon.
I need to know who this is. Should I know who any of this is? Because the name, Aldragoran, I was like, hold on a minute. Is that Lan's last name?
It's a Malkieri name.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, what's happening?
So here's the thing. So there is pages of the backstory on Waylon Aldragoran.
Yeah.
And I actually really like this because there's a little bit of tidbit of information on Robert Jordan as a writer. And literally any named character in this series, regardless of how long they show up in the series, or if it's just a one-time offhanded mention, Robert Jordan would always have a backstory written for that character.
Yeah.
And we can see it play out here because we get this big long explanation of this Malkieri guy who's now a trader.
Jewel trader?
Yeah, he's a jewel trader.
Okay, my favorite thing about this guy though is at one point he sees some jewels that Nynaeve's wearing.
Yeah.
And he doesn't recognize a few of the gems. And instead of thinking, I don't know about those, they must be rare and super cool, he thinks, if I don't know about them, they're not worth anything because I know. I'm the guy who knows everything about every jewel ever.
He knows all the jewels.
So those ones must not matter.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, the arrogance.
And you're not wrong, but yeah, so the backstory, the real relevance here is not necessarily about who this guy is himself. What I think is important is what he represents as Malkieri people, as a nation, because they're displaced people who lost their country. They had to find a homeland somewhere else, and a lot of these people have abandoned their cultural roots.
Yes.
And they have to live out their lives as best they can, attaching themselves to something else that's not really them. And some people, like this guy, Waylon, have held on to some things like the Hidori.
Right, yeah.
To whatever extent. Even if it's just because he thinks that he's going to be a better peddler or trader and he's going to get better discounts or bargains because people don't want to mess with him. But then we also have 2 other Malkieri guys in the scene, in the inn here.
Yep.
Who didn't take up the Hidori, but they're still Malkieri people.
Right.
So that's something that I've kind of talked about since the beginning of the series, that even when Malkier fell, not everybody died.
Yeah.
They just got displaced from their homeland.
Okay.
And this is like an entire coming back to those roots.
Okay. Now that makes so much more sense after we recognize what's going on, because we're like, wait, why does this guy matter?
Yeah.
What does it matter that he was a toddler when the Trollocs swept through Malkier and the nation fell? What's happening here?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really what he represents, because then we get his backstory, who this guy is, and then we get the woman in the jewelry coming in with the great serpent ring, and he's like, whoa, whoops, okay.
Aes Sedai. Yeah.
Even though she doesn't have the ageless face, and like now we know it's Nynaeve.
Yes.
But he doesn't know who she is.
Because of the necklaces and the golden belt and the bracelets
all this
and the
stuff.
ring.
Yeah, and then she has the key saying on her forehead. And he's like, oh, that's the Malkieri wedding mark on her forehead.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even know the last time he's heard of a Malkieri woman who went to the tower.
Right.
Because Malkieri people as a whole kind of reject the tower now because the White Tower wasn't there to help.
Save them.
They didn't save them. They didn't help. They weren't there when they needed them the most.
Okay. So now he's like, how can I help? And then she's like, I need you to send a message to every merchant that you deal with because Tarmangiden is coming.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, no. That has nothing to do with me. Like,
yeah,
no.
He's going to help. He'll send the pigeons, but like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. And then she fishes out a leather cord from her dress and is like, do you recognize this?
Yeah. And this is like shocking.
It is Lan's ring.
Yeah, well, and he reaches out like almost in awe and reverence because he recognizes the crane in flight as the symbol of Lan and who he is and the uncrowned king.
Yep.
And like he knows it, all that.
And he goes, how did you come by this?
Right.
And she's like, I'm Nynaeve, Lan's wife.
Yes, don't you know me?
Don't you know? And she says, this is the message I want. My husband rides from World's End towards Tarwin's Gap, towards Tarmangiden. Will he ride alone? And then this Waylon guy is like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's the whole thing. So she dropped him off at World's End, far west. She's hopping now to different places to send out messenger pigeons to all corners everywhere she can possibly get news to. And she's going to jump to a bunch more towns tonight. And she's going to deliver the same message to make sure that Lan, giving his oath, is going to allow anyone who wants to join him
to go. Right. This is pretty badass.
He's got a long friggin' way to go.
He's going to be so mad.
It's just like...
He's going to hate it.
It's a chef's kiss perfect.
He's going to be so angry, though. This is like so against everything Lan like ever actually wants.
But he gave his oath, and she
I
made
know that.
She
I know.
played him. She played
really
him so hard.
That's why I'm like, he wants to just go to the Blight alone. And I know that that's not actually how we're going to, fight the Blight, but man, she's doing him a little dirty.
And I love it. If you go back and reread Nynaeve's perspective, there's like little tidbits where she's like, I'm going to give him the best chance of success that I can.
Yeah.
Like he is not going into this by himself.
Very smart and very feisty.
Oh, it is. It is. Like, this is why I love Nynaeve.
I know.
Like, this move.
She's so passionate, too, because she's like, Lan told me once that Malkier lives so long as one man wears the Hidori in pledge that he will fight the Shadow, and so long as one woman wears the Kisane in pledge that she will send her sons to fight the Shadow, and I wear the Kisane and my husband wears the Hidori, and so do you. So, will he ride alone to the last battle or what, dude?
Yeah. And it's like, whoa, so powerful.
Yeah.
So amazing. Like, I still get chills when I read this scene.
Yeah.
So many times. It's great.
It's really good.
Yeah. And then so the Malkieri guy, he's like laughing and crying. And then he thinks it's madness, but he can't help himself. And he says, he will not. I can't stand for anybody else, but I swear into the light. And he gives the oath and he says he will not ride alone because we got one.
Yeah.
We got one.
Yeah. And then he's like, will you come meet my wife?
Yeah, she's going to want to meet you. Like, basically,
we're going to want to meet the woman who's married to Lan.
She's currently the uncrowned queen of Malkier. So
that's true.
But no, she's got to be in a bunch more
She's
towns.
like, I have to visit several more towns today, and I need to be back in Tyr tonight.
And he's like,
good day.
He's like, whoa, marvels, the Aes Sedai, so amazing.
Yeah. Well, actually, though, that is pretty
It
amazing.
is pretty crazy. Like, but the scene ending is also just like perfect because he stands up now and calls out the other two Malkieri guys who clearly, for their entire lives, have in a lot of senses abandoned the Malkieri nation.
Yeah.
They don't have the Hidori, all those things. But he calls them out and says, do you guys remember your blood? Like, what are you doing? Are you coming with me to Tarwin's Gap? And they stand up and they start chanting.
Yeah, the golden crane flies for Tarmangaiden.
And you know what? This was, I gotta say, when I was reading the series, the first time, this was really when I figured that we had an actual time frame for the end of the books.
Yeah.
Because now we've got Lan.
Actually, because now that I know how long the series is.
Yeah.
And there is no like, ooh, when is this going to end? For me, I know.
Yes.
And so it feels early considering we have like the rest of this, we have half of this book and then we have 3 other full books.
Well, this is what I was telling you.
Feels a little early.
That's
like,
what I was telling
you. Whoa. Okay.
But in my mind, like, it begins because we have a deadline for the last battle, if not much before, because Lan is now riding from the West Coast to the East Coast, and by the time he gets there...
Not the East Coast.
Like, the east side of the map.
Yeah.
Like, it's on.
Yeah.
It's go time. If not long before that, because who knows what's going to happen in between there.
Yeah.
But there's like a time frame, a reference, that Lan is now gathering troops, even if it's against his will.
No. Nynaeve is gathering troops for Lan.
You never know how that's going to play out there. Like, there's a lot that can happen still. We got a couple books.
I want a Lan perspective. I need at least like a 1 paragraph of Lan being like, oh, fuck.
Well, that's actually interesting. One of the chapters is Lan perspective, and it just says, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And then it's the next chapter.
That's it. Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
He's going to be so mad and also happy at the same time.
Yeah, is he though? Is he going to be happy at the same time?
Oh, yeah. The amount of people he's going to get to fight his cause and fight the shadow.
He doesn't want people to fight his cause.
That's what I was saying. That was my point before.
It's his cause. Not your cause.
I know. Well, that's what I was saying. He's going to be mad at Nynaeve, I think.
Oh, man. I love this chapter so much.
Yeah, this part was good. The first half, meh.
Yeah. I mean, it gets overshadowed by the sweetness of it all.
It was great. Okay. I am excited.
Yeah.
To read on and then watch episode 4. We've got lots of good things coming up.
Yeah, it's happening.
Okay. Very cool. Well, before the golden crane flies for Tarmangaiden, I'm going to say that this is part of the pattern now.
Yeah, it's part of the pattern.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. The Wheel Weaves is hosted by Dani and Brett, edited by Dani and Brett, and produced with Dani and Brett, with Passion Socks, Cody Fouts, Benjamin, Michelle O'Brien, Jamie Young, Megan Smiley, Jared Berg, Ricky Morissette, Lance Barden, Charlie Haz, Adam, Marta Thier, Michelle Forbes, MKM, Antoine Benoit, Lawrence Bradley, and Eric Reed, with music by Audionautics. Be sure to check out our Patreon page if you're interested in supporting us and the podcast. We'd love to send you some Patreon exclusive merch as a thank you. Plus, you'll gain access to our episodes earlier than everyone else. And at the time of recording, we have over 45 bonus episodes for your listening pleasure. Find all that and more at patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. For general information about our show, like how to send us shot glasses, how to join our Discord, and how to get in touch with us, visit thewheelweavespodcast.com. And as always, be sure to give us that 5-star review because it really does make a huge difference in helping other people find us. And tell a friend, Riyadh, because referrals really are the best compliment. Thanks again for listening. This really is part of the pattern now.